We are Unit 2, and I bet you've already guessed question 2. How about telling us who you are? Oh, I'm sorry. We have to introduce the other judges because y'all don't know them.
They know Tandy. I'm Mike Miles from Birmingham, Alabama, and I work for Ms. Schaefer and Ms. McCannon back in Alabama, and they bragged on you big yesterday, so I've been looking forward to hearing you all day. Robert, good to see you.
And hi, my name is Tandy McConnell. It's good to see you guys again. I'm here in South Carolina, and really enjoying the chance to hang out with all of you.
What's your names?
Hi, I'm Amy, part of Unit 2, representing South Seminole Academy.
Hello, I'm Julian Rogers from Unit 2, representing South Seminole Academy.
Right. So I'm going to read you the question. Take a deep breath while I'm doing it, and then we'll listen to you and look forward to it. In the Declaration of Independence, Thomas Jefferson stated that governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. From what sources do the people derive the right to establish government? How is the consent of the governed related to the concept of popular sovereignty? Does natural rights philosophy justify a right to revolution? Why or why not? Why might the principles and practices of self-government contained in the Declaration of Independence have been considered radical at the time? We look forward to hearing from you. Please begin.
The Declaration of Independence has several important ideas that establish the right to govern. Some of these concepts, like democracy, were considered radical at the time it was written. Also, consent of the governed is one of the main points in the Declaration, which also helped establish the idea of popular sovereignty. Along with the general idea of popular sovereignty, the concept of natural rights was included in the Declaration. This helped justify the right to revolution. As previously mentioned, there are several sources that the people get the power to establish government from. For instance, the Declaration of Independence says that the people are endowed by the Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men. This document is explaining that the citizens are given rights, and in order to sustain these ideas, governments must be made by the people. Also, the Constitution includes the phrase, "we the people," and this shows that it gives the citizens the power to keep a government running. In addition, the Constitution includes the specific roles and limitations of each branch, which keeps the powers of government in order. Also, the 10th Amendment says that the federal government has only those powers specifically granted to them by the Constitution. This includes the power to write. This includes the right to declare war, tax, and make laws, leaving the reserved powers to the people and the states. There is also the idea of popular sovereignty and consent of the governed, which also helps keep things orderly. Popular sovereignty is the concept that the people are in charge of all political power. This idea is related to consent of the governed because it involves citizens taking a stance in government. The Declaration essentially lays out the concept that the people have the right to rebel against an oppressive ruler and start a government that is ruled by the people, which is one of the main principles of popular sovereignty. Most importantly, the idea of consent of the governed gives the citizens power in a government, which highlights the connection between popular sovereignty and that the citizens rule. With this information being considered, it is clear that these concepts are directly related to one another.
Another concept is the right to revolution. This is the job of the people to overthrow or rebel against a government that threatens the people. And the natural rights philosophy created by John Locke says that all people have the right to life, liberty, and property, no matter the circumstance. We concur this concept because the natural rights philosophy says that all people have the rights to life, liberty, and property. If a government does not protect these rights, the people have the power to alter or abolish it. They are in control of their government. With this being said, the citizens are able to rebel, meaning that they have the right to revolution. This could relate to the citizens and King George. King George was an oppressive ruler, so they rebelled. The British government did not protect these these people's rights to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, which led them to writing to led them to write the Declaration of Independence. As previously mentioned, the Declaration of Independence included several important ideas. This would include all men are created equal. This would be considered radical because the king had more power than the colonists. The citizens were seen as inferior to the government leaders. It was unheard of for citizens to be seen as equals to officials. The Declaration also explains that the purpose of government is for the benefit of the people, and it is created to protect the rights of the citizens. While this concept is valid, it would be considered radical at the time because the colonists have always been controlled by King George. Everything from their taxes, their goods, and trade was in the hands of the British government. In conclusion, the people get the power to govern from the Constitution and Declaration of Independence. Also, popular sovereignty and consent of the governed are heavily related to the people. Finally, the ideas included in the Declaration were considered revolutionary because they were a completely new concept. Thank you all for listening. We will now take your follow-up questions.
Thank you very much for that. Gentlemen, would you like to go first?
Let me throw a question out there to get us started, if you don't mind. You talked about the democratic ideals we find in the Constitution. Does the Constitution have any principles in it that are non-democratic or even anti-democratic, or might be opposed to popular sovereignty? Is there anything in the Constitution that maybe does not fit with this broader idea?
I feel that pretty much all of the Declaration. Wait, did you say Declaration or Constitution?
I might have said that, but I meant the Constitution.
I feel that most of the ideas, or if not all of the ideas in the Constitution, are pretty much related to the idea of popular sovereignty.
Okay, let me throw one possible challenge to that. How about the Electoral College? What do you think about that? How does that maybe fit, and how does it maybe not fit? You know, the Electoral College, everybody's favorite thing to hate. Can you tell me what the Electoral College is? Let's start there.
The Electoral College is basically where the people vote for these electors who then, depending on how many people are in the state, will cast their votes for who they want to be the president. But usually it's supposed to be like what the state's decision is. So like if most people want someone who's the Republican to be the president, or the state wants someone who the Democrat to be the president, then the state's Electoral College people would vote for that, candidate.
Has the Electoral College ever voted for? Has the Electoral College ever made somebody president who did not receive a majority of the votes, a majority of the popular votes? Has anybody become president without that majority?
I'm pretty sure that whenever it was Donald Trump versus
Hillary Clinton.
Oh yeah, Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton got the popular vote, which means that more citizens voted for Hillary Clinton, but the people in the Electoral College decided to vote for Donald Trump instead of Hillary Clinton.
Right. Thank you so much.
The Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, the Old Testament, the New Testament are all written in the masculine reference. All men are created equal. He shall have the right to do so and so. 245 years after this was written, can we say that it really applies to both genders, to all people? Or are you concerned about the fact two of the people in this frame, Ms. Schaefer and Ms. McCannon, are both attorneys, and they graduated from law school with flying colors, but if they went to a law firm the odds are that a lot of the other people in that firm who are men might be paid more than them. If you work at Walmart, a lot of times the men are paid more than the women. Do you have a fair degree of confidence that after 245 years, the Constitution guarantees you equal protection under the law, equal pay for equal work, those kind of things, right to privacy? Do you feel like you're protected now, or do you think there's still some work we have to do?
Well, I think that at the time that it was written, they really did think of specifically older white rich men who were gonna be like protected. But as it's gone on, it's been more like other like younger people, people that are not as rich, maybe people of color. And so they're still trying to like make it perfect to where every single person, no matter what job you have, like no matter like if you're male or female, of color or not of color, if you have the same job, that you should be paid equally and everything should be equal.
Yeah, I agree with the Julian, but I feel that today it's still not totally equal. There's still quite a lot of inequality today because, like you said earlier, a lot of the times women are paid less or people of color aren't necessarily treated the same as whites.
Which is, if you saw the Black Lives Matter march, you're pretty sure they feel the same way, Amy, that they feel they're not protected either, and so they have to. Julian, I was a little worried when you said older white men. You were looking right at me when you said that, and it worried me a little bit, but then you said rich, and I knew I was off the hook. You weren't referring to me at all, so that was okay. Ms. Rita?
I wonder if you feel as though there's a responsibility to when everyone is created equal and we all have equal rights under the laws, if there are not sometimes when we have to give up a few rights in favor of equality for everybody else. I wonder if you have noticed that, or if you know that in your studying, that there are times that you have to give up something for the bigger good, the greater good of all of us. Have you experienced that at all, or have you seen it? Or am I getting too much into question one? I may be. One thing the reason I say this, and I'd appreciate if Mike would just shut off his camera and not listen to me, but when your parents are driving you somewhere and you come to a stop sign, if your parents don't stop and they just go on through the stop sign because you're late and you've got to get to the movie on time, or you've got to get to whatever you're going to, that takes away the right of the person who's stopped before you and is coming on through that stop sign, and y'all almost run into each other. Can you see how that in your life might be a way that you're having to give up, not being able to go quite as fast as you want to, but for the protection of everybody at the 4 stop signs? I
agree with what you said, and I'd like to add that also it's been found out that whenever for people to be like protected by like the law and government and stuff, they have to give up certain rights, but they do keep most of their rights. And that's the same thing with school. Like you don't have all of your rights at school,
That's
but you
right.
still have like some of them or a good amount of them.
That's right.
Completely my bad. I got so excited listening to them that I forgot to give you a 1-minute warning.
All right, that was fun. We could have gone on 5 more.
So
didn't remember if you were holding it up for the presentation or for our questions. So there you go. We're all kind of enjoying the presentation and not paying attention to the rules.
Which we have to do. We have to pay attention to the rules according to that last question. Tandy, I've seen a lot of units that were 4 people in it, 5 people in it. I've even seen some 6, where it's hard to divide up the time, but they've been able to divide up the work among 6 people working on the essay. To see a 2-person team do the amount of work that you had to do to produce that essay, which was pretty good, and to divide the questions among the, when I say pretty good, I mean, that's a compliment. It was pretty good. And to divide up the questions among the 2 of you, it makes participation fairly easy, but it makes the preparation work for it harder. And I very much appreciate how hard the 2 of you had to work to produce all that and to learn these things and answer our questions, because we were all over 3 or 4 different subjects with that, and you didn't run from a single one. So I tip my hat to you. That was pretty good. And I tip my hat to your teacher, because obviously he's pretty good. Stay in touch with him, because he could be a real asset to you for years and years to come if you'll stay in touch with him. Thanks.
You guys did a great job. It was really an honor to be here with you.
I feel the same way. Tell me before, because we forgot to ask you at the beginning, where is South Seminole Academy?
We are in Florida, and I think we're in Seminole County. That's why it's South Seminole.
What town do you live in?
Casselberry.
Okay.
Interesting.
Exactly where Casselberry.
Well, you did them proud today.
Y'all are great. We need to come
Robert.
see you when we come to Disney World.
We do. Robert, nice job, man. Nice
Thank
job.
you. Thank you very much, everyone.